What's up, guys? Raziel here, and it's time. It's time for a video, and not just any video. My guide to new and returning players to World of Warcraft for Shadowlands. I did the same thing for Final Fantasy XIV back when Shadowbringers launched, and now it's time to do it for World of Warcraft since that's what I'm currently playing the most of, MMORPG-wise. So let's stop wasting fucking time, and let's just go.
I am Raziel.
All right, guys. Well, let's just go ahead and get started. First of all, I wanted to say that I did a similar video when Final Fantasy XIV's latest expansion came out, and I'm going to do it for this one too because this is the one I'm playing right now, and I get asked a lot of these questions a lot on my stream, so I thought it'd be a lot easier just to make a video to answer a lot of these questions. And none of the guides I was able to find on YouTube right now are up to date. Keep in mind this video will be in two parts because the second part I will release later because it's very much more specifically about the Shadowlands expansion itself, the systems within that, which you don't have to really worry about as of right now. So what this will cover is for players if you haven't played WoW for a long time, or if you're brand new to the fucking game, this guide is for you. And I'm going to go through these systems very quickly. I'm not going to try to overload you with information. I'm going to give you what you need to get started, to get your bearings, and then start kicking ass and taking names, you know what I'm saying? Okay, but anyway, first thing you need to do is buy the fucking game. Now, you can get a free trial right now for World of Warcraft, and you can level every class in the game pretty much up to level 20, but then eventually you have to get the game. Now, if you just immediately subscribe to the game, you have access to everything, including the current latest expansion, which is Battle for Azeroth, and the monthly subscription is about $15 a month. If you buy it in bulk months, you get it for cheaper overall. But yeah, if you just sub to the game, you have everything up to what is current. However, once Shadowlands comes out in late November, November 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, then you can go ahead and yeah, sorry, not 23rd, 24th, my bad. But then what you can essentially do is start playing the second that Shadowlands comes out. If you want to play the expansion and level past level 50, you're going to need to own the expansion. So that's how you buy it. Now keep in mind also the pre-patch that lets you catch up on gear for endgame. Now endgame's something a little further ahead. I'll talk about it later, but that is on November 10th. Thus the need for this video to get out now so people are aware of what's going on. First and foremost, what you are going to want to do is pick a server and a faction. And this is something, if you've played before, you already know this, but some stuff has changed in the last few years. So let me get ahead of that for you. So for servers and factions, if you'll notice, there's quite a large change if you haven't been in the game for a while. And you'll see that there are normal servers and RP servers. You don't see any PvP, PvP, RP servers anymore because PvP has fundamentally changed. There are no longer PvP specific servers anymore in the game, which is how it works now is something called war mode, which I'll get into later on in this video, so don't worry about that. Which the important thing about picking your faction, which is either Alliance or Horde, pick whatever faction is the one you want to play. Most people play Horde because of racials, but the difference is so fucking small. Don't worry about it. Remember, guys, fuck the meta. But yeah, pick whatever faction you like. Obviously, if all your friends are one faction, you're coming back to the game, pick that faction. Now, the only time what server you actually join matters in any way is obviously you're less likely to run into queues if you're on a low or medium pop server as opposed to a full or a high population server. But you're going to want to pick a server your friends are on if they have a guild that you want to join. The only time you need to do that is if there is a specific guild on a specific server you want to join. You don't need to be on the same server as them otherwise. There's no reason to be, because now you pretty much, as long as you're like here you see it says United States, Oceanic, Latin America, Brazil. These are the different, server shards here. As long as you're on the same list, the same continent of servers, you're going to be fine. You can play with them as long as you're the same faction. It doesn't matter if you're on different servers. You can raid together. The only thing you cannot do with your friends that way is mythic raid. So if you want to mythic raid, you need to be on the same server as the people you're mythic raiding with, and in there, you don't have to be in their guild, but obviously you probably would be at that point. So that's what you need to know. There's a lot of cross everything. If you want to mythic raid, you need to be on the server you want to mythic raid on. That's pretty much servers and factions. So moving on, we're going to go next to classes. I know that classes are a very big thing for a lot of people, and I get asked a lot, what's the best? And that's not what this video is going to be about. I'm not going to tell you what the best is, because fuck the meta, and you have to keep in mind that the meta and what's the best and whatnot is always in flux. It always changes from patch to patch. So I'm just going to give you a rundown, a general quick rundown of every class in the game, give you an idea of what they're capable of doing, what their kind of playstyle may be like, and then you can pick from there. There's really no wrong choice here. You can just pick what you think you're going to enjoy, not what anybody says is the fucking best, okay? So anyway, now the difference between this and, say, for example, if you're coming from another MMO like Final Fantasy XIV because you've never played WoW before, every class has multiple specializations, which is not something you'll see in a lot of other games. So, for example, let's go first, Warrior. Warrior has 3 specializations you can pick from, and keep in mind these specializations can be swapped between and geared for almost any time while you're in the game. Usually the only time you can't swap out is if you're in an instance. Outside of that, you can change your specialization whenever you want. And yeah, so you're not locked into one choice. Warrior has 3 specializations, 2 that are DPS. Arms and Fury are the 2 DPS specializations, with Arms focused on using a big 2-handed weapon, and Fury using 2 2-handed weapons. And then they have Tank, Warrior, the basic sword and board tank class, sword and shield. That's Warrior, essentially. A melee class, obviously. Next up, we have Paladin. Now, Paladin is very much... it's a lot like Warrior in terms of what your options are, except for instead of having 2 DPS roles, you have a healer role and a DPS role. As Retribution is its DPS, its healing role is Holy, and Tank is Sword and Board once again, but with some use of magic spells, holy magic spells. Their damage abilities uses a 2-hander, and the healer obviously is just casting healing spells. Next up is a ranged class, the Hunter. Now the Hunter is going to do range damage. They do have 1 melee-centric spec, which is survival. Then they have a marksmanship, and then they have beast mastery. Obviously, they're a pet class, so they have a class. They're a class that has a pet. Beast mastery focuses on your pet. That's the main source of your damage. Marksmanship is all your ranged, your bow, or your gun, whatever you're using. And then survival is a little more melee-centric. Last I checked, anyway. Then we have another very, very melee class, Rogue, which all 3 of its specializations are, of course, DPS. We have Subtlety, Assassination, and Outlaw Rogue. So they all have different play styles. Some are more focused on stealth, others poisons, and others just, big crits. So you have to go with what you think you'll work for on there. Then you have Priest. Priest has 2 healing abilities. We have their Holy Priests, which are focused on big burst heals, Discipline Priests, which are focused on shields, and then we have Shadow Priests, which is their dot-based damage class, which can be kind of bursty. So they have 1 DPS, 2 healing specializations. Then we have Shaman. Now, Shaman's kind of more of a mixed bag. It's a little more of a hybrid in terms of your options here. So you have a Restoration Shaman, which is a healer, which focuses quite a bit on AoE healing. They're quite good at that. Then they have 2 damaging classes. One, which is a ranged casting, which is Elemental Shaman. And then they have a melee, up close and personal DPS enhancement. Next up, we have Mage. And the Mage is going to... It's straight up damage. There's Arcane, Fire, and Frost Mage. Frost focuses on control. Fire is, just big numbers, explosions, and Arcane. Arcane can be quite bursty as well, but they have some abilities to control time, things like that. Warlock. Warlock is the main damage over time class, where they have 3 damaging specializations. One is Affliction, which is all damage over time. One is Destruction, which is a lot more like the Mage's Fire classic. A lot, really very, very bursty. And then you have Demonology, which is focused on your pet, because Warlocks, again, are a pet class. So your Warlock Demonology is going to be your pet. Next, we have monks. Monks are they're pretty obvious. They fight with their fists. You have a Windwalker monk, which is their DPS. You have Mistweaver, which is their healer. And then you have Brewmaster, which is their tank DPS, which is a very unique tank in the sense that they turn all the damage they take into damage over time, and then you roll through it. Next, we have Druid. Now, Druids are very special in the sense that they actually have 4 specializations that you can do. They have Feral, which is like a kind of like a rogue. You shift into cat form and you can fight DPS, melee DPS that way. You can become a healer, Restoration, which is very much a healing over time. And then they have another damage dealing, which is called a Moonkin, where they are ranged casting DPS. And they have a tank, which is Guardian, which they turn into a big bear and they can tank that way, which kind of a mix of warrior abilities and some unique ones to their own. So very, very unique. Next, we have Demon Hunter. Now, Demon Hunter is the only class in the game that only has 2 specializations as opposed to 3, or like the Druids 4. They have Vengeance, and they have Vengeance Demon Hunters and Havoc Demon Hunters. So there's a tank and a damage dealer, obviously melee. Probably one of the most mobile tanks in the game, mobile classes overall in general. They can pretty much get anywhere, but a little more easy to play in my opinion. And then we have the final class in the game, which is Death Knight. This is what I currently main and have mained for years. They have 2 damaging specs, Unholy and Frost. Frost focuses on doing big bursty damage, Unholy's more sustained with pets. And Tank, which is Blood, which is what I primarily play. Blood Death Knight, all blood. Just tank it up. They focus very much on self-healing, and they're less relying on the healers to survive. Have a high skill ceiling, but again, because they have that much control, if you do poorly, it's going to be noticeable. Now, I went through these really quickly. I'm going to also place a link in the description to all the page with all the classes, and please just take a look at it and make a decision for yourself. And don't worry about what is the best. Worry about what you think is going to be good for you. All right. Now, once you have made your first character, I just made one to show you guys exactly what happens here. If you've never played WoW before, you're not going to get this screen after you make your first character. If you're on a brand new account, it's automatically going to put you in Exile's Reach. Now, Exile's Reach is the new leveling zone for brand new players. Now you're going to get the screen you see right now if you've played before and you have a character at level cap at some point. Any of the expansions, I think, if you level capped, you're going to get this option where you can either get the old experience where you can level in any zone you want, whenever the fuck you want, whatever, or Exile's Reach. I strongly recommend that even if you're a player that's played before, just do Exile's Reach. It's going to teach you the mechanics of the game, basic mechanics of the game, how the game UI works and all that shit. And it's going to get you to, when you finish it, you'll roughly be around level 10 to 12 when you finish this. Then at that point, if you're a brand new character in World of Warcraft, you never played the game before, and you beat it, it will then send you to the latest expansion to level up from level 10, wherever you finished Exile's Reach, to level 50. Then once you hit 50, you'll be at endgame. You can start doing the current pre-Shadowlands event to catch up on gear. And I'll talk about catching up on gear in just a second. Now, if you haven't done this, if you are not new, you're just a returning player, and you choose to do Exile's Reach, something very nice you can do. If you go to your main city and you find Chromie, let's see if we can do that. I'll show you where Chromie is right now. In Orgrimmar, if you're on the Horde, I'm not 100% sure where she is at. Google's your fucking friend, right? I'm not sure where she's at in Stormwind because I play Horde right now. But I will show you exactly what you can do. So once you leave Exile's Reach, as a returning player, you can then, if you choose to, either do Battle for Azeroth, the latest expansion storyline, to get caught up, or you can come here, talk to Chromie, and you can choose. She's not letting me choose because I'm already level capped here, but you can choose which expansion you want to level from 10 to 50 out of all the expansions. So you can, if you want to level up really quickly and efficiently, I'd say pick either Warlords of Draenor or Legion, because they have the most experience and everything like that, the quickest all bunched together. If you don't care about that and you just care about whichever expansion you played was your favorite, pick that one. You can pick any expansion and finish leveling to level cap that way if you are a returning player, and it gives you the option to choose Exile's Reach or not. If you are in Exile's Reach though, and you have to, then you're going to have to do the BFA campaign because it's what leads into Shadowlands ultimately. Now, one thing I did want to mention as an aside is you might hear some talk about your Heart of Azeroth, which you will get. I recommend just getting it. You get it at the very start of the story for Battle for Azeroth. So if you want to just level up to Battle for Azeroth after Exile's Reach, you can do so. You're going to get it. It has essences in there that dramatically power up your character, but for now, don't worry about that. The expansion's literally coming out in 3 weeks, and all this will be fucking irrelevant. Don't worry about the essences. Just get the Heart of Azeroth. It pretty much gives it to you. If you want something to do, you can get the Legendary Cloak. It's be a nice item level boost, but overall, at this point, you don't need it. Corruption gear has been removed from the game. It's all inactive on all my corruption pieces. You don't have to worry about it. So anyone, if you're a new player or a returning player, and anyone says, oh, you need to get Heart of Azeroth, and you need to get level it up, and you need to get the Legendary Cloak, and you don't need any of that shit. Don't worry about it. Don't do it. Just play and have fun and get caught up. Because by the time you get level cap anyway, at this point, if you're new or returning, the pre-patch is probably going to be almost over, and we're going to be going into Shadowlands. So don't worry about that shit. Moving along. Okay. We're almost done with the video, I promise. It's actually been quite quick. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to give you guys some tips while you're leveling and some of the basic systems you're going to be introduced in while you're playing World of Warcraft. Obviously, some of these are in a lot of other MMOs because they were in World of Warcraft first, and what you've played in other MMOs is just a replication. But let me kind of give you guys a rough go over. Okay, as you're leveling up, for your first character, your returning character, my dog's choking in the background. Good job, bro. What you need to keep in mind is once you hit level 10, you're going to unlock your talent trees. Here's where you can pick your different specializations. You can just pick whichever specialization you want to be and go there. Once you pick a specialization, though, make sure you double check your spell book, and you'll have your baseline abilities here and your spec-specific abilities here. Make sure the ones that all your abilities that you're going to use are on your fucking hotbars. I've seen a lot of players miss that, where they miss things in their hotbars. Don't do it. Okay, you can pick your spec, but you get talents, right? So at level 15, I misspoke, it's not level 10. So level 15, you get your first talent that you can spend, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. So don't worry for right now about which one is best for whatever class you picked. Those are still changing. There are still patches coming out, still balance happening. So just pick what you think you like here. Or if you're really a min-maxer right out of the gate, and you want to get used to what you think is going to be the best, then I would recommend checking out icyveins.com or talking to somebody who's experienced in that class, saying, hey, what should I pick? As you go on, you have talents here for PvP only. These only work in the open world and in arenas and battlegrounds. Outside of that, they have no use. You can't use them in dungeons or raids or anything like that. Okay. Now, the next thing you need to keep in mind is as you're leveling, World of Warcraft is super add-on friendly. In fact, it's highly recommended. So what I'm going to do right now, if you look in the description of this video, I will link all of the add-ons that I personally use that I think are the best and I think that are the easiest to use and don't clutter my UI up way too fucking much. That doesn't say don't go out and check out add-ons for yourself. If you think your other add-ons and other UIs that have more interest for you, please do so. Check it out. You can update through Twitch. I use a different app to update all my add-ons, but it's a fairly simple process. Now, another thing you're going to get into is looking for group, which is the automatic queue system. As you can see here, once you hit level 10, you can start queuing for things. In fact, during the very end of the Exile's Reach, you queue for your first thing. It teaches you how to do it. Again, so I said, do Exile's Reach if you're new. That way you can figure out everything, how it works. But essentially, they have Dungeon Finder, right, where you can queue for anything that's regular or heroic, and you can pick your role up here. Raid Finder, where you can queue for the easiest version of the raids in the current expansion. Pre-made groups, where you can exactly that. You can just pre-make what you're looking for. So you can find if someone's trying to do a quest, you can find the quest they're doing here and stuff like that, right? If you need help. So that's a big thing there. Now, keep in mind that mythic dungeons and mythic raids cannot be queued for. You have to do a pre-made group for that. So if you're doing mythic dungeons, which is one of the big endgame activities, you would want to do dungeons, and then see, these are like M8, M7, Mythic Plus. So these are the Mythic Plus dungeons. You don't have to worry about that till your level cap, though. Something else you're going to see, especially if you're going to see it, especially in Shadowlands from this point on in WoW. If you level up in BFA, if you level up in Legion, if you level up even in a Warlords of Draenor, if you go to your map here, you're going to see these icons on the map. These are world quests. They've kind of replaced dailies. They're a good way to get some catch-up gear, a good way to get experience. If you're doing them, don't skip them. Good way to get reputations, because you need to build up reputations to buy certain things, stuff like that. It's pretty simple, and the game does a good job of introducing those to you. Okay, now the next thing and the final thing in this video that I want to talk about is before my next video that I'll eventually make for Shadowlands specific systems that are implemented for Shadowlands. It's no good talking about them yet because they're not in the game yet. Are PvP. Now, PvP, like I said, PvP servers have changed. They are no longer specific PvP. You can PvP, world PvP on any server. I said PvP a lot right there. Almost sounds like an innuendo or a euphemism, but fuck it.
Oh my.
So here is what you want to look at, okay? If you look at your talent window here, War mode is turned on. Now, if you turn War mode on, you're all flagged for PvP. Anybody else who has War mode on can attack you. You can attack anyone else that has War mode on. If you have War mode turned off, you can't attack anybody from the opposing faction, and they can't attack you. However, the incentive to keep War mode turned on is you get 10% more experience, and all your rewards are increased by 10% from every activity you do, even PvE activities out in the open world, if that is on. So if you're doing world quests, world bosses, stuff like that, you're gonna level up faster, get things faster by taking that risk of getting your ass ganked, you know. And I say turn it on. Don't be a pussy, don't be a bitch, turn it on, kill other people. It's a good time. But anyway, guys, that is it for this quick video about the basic systems and the basic classes, basic stuff. I will have another video in this series for Shadowlands specific systems that are coming here very soon in the next 3.5 weeks. Once that, I'm going to get it out before the expansion actually launches, because I'm in the beta, so I can go over all the changes. I'm just waiting for Blizzard to push a couple more of their final changes and builds, so I can give you the most accurate information as possible. But thanks everybody so much for the support. Again, I'm streaming still on Mondays and Tuesdays in the evenings. That's today even. I'll be streaming this evening. I know world's in a lot of chaos right now, but fuck it, let's play some video games and drink some alcohol. My Twitch link is on the screen right now. If you haven't joined my Discord yet, where a lot of toxic masculinity and debauchery gets talked about, you're more than welcome to join. The link is in the description as well, with all the other shit that I put in there for this video. Take care, everybody, and as always, keep it real.